let's talk about like migration. I think that's an interesting subject because with these new EU REACH laws, now eyeliner pigments cannot be 100% inorganic. To meet the new EU REACH guidelines, be REACH compliant, there has to be carbon in your eyeliner pigments. And that broke my heart. I mean, that devastated me to hear that. And I am super nervous for all these newbies, all these artists still struggling with their depth, to have to now be forced to have to use an eyeliner pigment that contains carbon. I'm wondering what you're over there in that area of the world. What are your thoughts on that? Are the technicians over there talking about that particular situation?
Not that I've heard. I'm hearing people talk about it with the brow products, and that brows generally now have to be a hybrid for the new sort of REACH lines coming out. I've not heard people talk about eyeliner so much, and that bothers me because you know yourself the risk of migration.
Yeah.
With carbons and people coming in with really veiny eyelids, and if you don't have your depth right, because it is something that is so easy to get wrong, it's so easy to blow out on an eyelid. And if you're using heavy carbons, or even if you get your implantation just right, if you're using these really highly pigmented carbon results, it can blur, it can travel.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You could be a great skilled artist and be perfect technique and just have a capillary or a blood vessel on that eyelid, and that carbon can, catch it and just travel, run, blow right up. Yeah. Well, I get made fun of. It was Victoria Glam that kind of got, flat Taryn. Because I always say, carbon has feet, it can run. And then, of course, at the AAM, I had flat Taryn there. And she got behind of us and made fun of, mimicked me a little bit. But I thought it was really super cute. But it's true. It's really, really true. You don't necessarily have to go too deep for a carbon-based eyeliner pigment to migrate or to blow out. I mean, there's lots of different variables that can cause that, even with a very skilled artist, So, yeah, I was just wondering if you guys were talking about that and if you guys were nervous and what your thoughts, were on that.
Yeah, I've not heard that much talk about the eyeliner, or if people even know that this is going to be a thing, that pure iron oxide is not going to be, because onyx is what, that's the stable one.
Yeah. It is, and I think the misconception with, okay, so let's talk about eyeliner pigments for a second. So black iron oxide, onyx, LI's onyx is, black iron oxide, and it's multiple black iron oxides, like the best black iron oxides, mix them together, fused them in the base. It's a great black inorganic, eyeliner pigment. And then you have black carbon, but the myth is iron oxide, eyeliner pigments, you can't implant them. They're hard to implant. The particle size is huge. They don't heal black. They don't last. And all that, I've been using iron onyx for about 15 years, Katie. And I know a ton of eyeliner artists that uses onyx. And it implants really super good. Not on every skin type. I don't think it's the pigment, it's the skin type. Because to be super honest, I have certainly had eyeliner clients where, yeah, onyx is not implanting well. But on the next 25 eyeliner clients, onyx implants super quick, super easy. So for me, it's client dependent, not pigment dependent. And onyx heals really super black for me on a lot of clients, and on some clients it heals more of like a charcoaly black. Not all clients are going to heal black, so it's skin dependent rather than pigment dependent. But I think a lot of artists are missing out on a great iron oxide black because they'll read a post somewhere that black iron oxide doesn't implant good and it's too big and you know, because it's like I don't think that's true necessarily.
Yeah, I have those same variables with carbon anyway. That sometimes it's hard to implant and sometimes it doesn't heal black. And, I think it absolutely is client dependent.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to say that too. On the flip side with carbon, I've had clients where I cannot get that carbon in. I've had carbon fall out during the healing process, just like I've had iron oxide black fall out during the healing process. I've had carbon, fade off in a year and completely leave the eyelid in a year where it's not really, it's not really iron oxide versus carbon when it comes to eyeliner pigments. It's that particular client. Everything is so dependent on that particular client, the skin, and our techniques versus the pigment. Pigment, yes, it's that third factor that plays a role, but we got to keep in mind it's the skin, it's ourselves, our technique, and the pigment. It's all three. And I too many times I see them only focusing on the pigment, only blaming the pigment or feeling it's the pigment. It's a pigment issue.
Well, we don't like to say it's our technique, do we? We don't want to point the finger and go, maybe I'm just not implanting it properly.
No, for some reason we humans, we don't like to do that, especially in our industry. And I don't know, I'm the first one to take a look at my own self. Do you know? I just am. I mean, I look at everything. I look at everything. I'm certainly going to look at my own techniques and my own self and figure out if it's me. I mean, that's the first thing I want to know. Is it me? Is there something I'm doing wrong? Is there something I can do better? But I'm like that in every aspect of my life, and then of course I'm going to look at all the other factors. I'm going to look at the pigment. I'm going to look at the skin, but I'm certainly going to turn attention to my own self and my own technique as well. Because it's man, because those are the three stars that have to align for us to have good results. We got to have that skin, the pigment, and the technique. When all three of those align perfectly, it's like, magic. That's what we want. And when one's missing, then we're not getting the results we want or that we could have gotten. It's like all three of those need to be there. They need to be in alignment with each other. So 100%.
Yeah, but I do think that is just equally for carbon or iron oxide. So I think people discounting iron oxide for that, they're missing out on something that is going to be far safer for them, particularly in the early years.
Yeah. The industry got, we were iron oxide industry for a very long time. There's always been organics around, always from the 80s, the 90s. There's always been organic eyebrow pigments and organic, pigment brands around. But organics, but then some big brands launched some organics, and organics got, a lot of exposure a few years back. And then a lot of people went towards organics. And then I think inorganics got, beaten up a little bit. And, I hate that happened. And sometimes that's a part of business. But now you see people coming back to organics and finding balance. And that's what it's all about, a balance, finding that balance. So.
Yeah. And I think that when you mentioned earlier that microblading came along, and I think that people went to microblading and these organics, and I've seen a lot of migration in microblading.
Oh, goodness,
and you
yes.
can tell that they've been skillfully put in and beautifully put in. But it doesn't look like that in 2 years' time.
Yeah, no, 100%. I look at everything, it's easy to get upset. It's easy to get annoyed and angry and frustrated. And I just kind of look at this big, huge, eclectic industry. We're all so different. There's a lot of mistruths out there, but I just see it as an opportunity to, for artists like you and I to get together and do these sort of things. And it creates opportunity for really great education. If and great education and truth in education, transparency in education does exist if the artist wants to, you know, be educated that way, find that type of education. It does exist. So yeah, I still love this industry and everything going on, even with all the stuff that, you know, I'm like, what?
Well, I think that's why you've always been so respected, because you kind of seem above all the, you know, anything that's going on. So it's yeah, I think that education trumps marketing all the time as well. Real education.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that there's such an appetite for it from other artists.
Yeah, well, it's what I love to do. It's always brought me joy. I love talking about PMU. I love talking about everything PMU. Pigments is just one subject of many that I love to talk about. I love talking about things like the, you know, with artists like you. I even love talking with artists that have a completely different opinion than me. You know, I think we learn more or just as much from artists that we don't agree with, do you know, that do things completely different or have a completely different philosophy and way of looking at things. I think we learn just as much, if not more, from them. And, you know, and I think it's fantastic. So I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Katie? Is there anything that you wanted to throw out there, or tell our listeners?
I think that, yeah, I'm doing 100 pieces of content on my YouTube at the moment. And one of the things I wanted to add definitely was just a little montage of all my faded LIs, just to go, look how easy my life is.
I know.
because the things that come back to me, and especially when I do see on forums people saying about the reds and the oranges and the salmons, and I'm like, this isn't happening to me.
It's not happening to most of us that use LI. Do you know, it's not. It's, you know, but and you do see some people saying that it's happening to them, and sometimes they're not even calling out LI. They're just saying iron oxide. Do you know? Yeah. But not all iron oxide, you know, brands are created equal. Not all organic brands are created equal. You know, there's high quality and low quality in every single product, you know, on Earth, including, you know, PMU products. So I would say to the listener, or, you know, if you are using LI, or if you were using LI and you were getting consistent red or pink results, then it's not the pigment. There's something in your formula, something in your technique. And this is not to offend you or upset you or anything like that. You know, we need to be open-minded and take a look at our own selves. And you gotta be willing to hear it, you know, because that's what creates growth in us as artists and technicians, right? Yeah, there's something in your formula. There's something causing that, where it's not causing that for thousands of other artists that are using LI. Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think all I ever wanted was great healed results, happy clients long term, and no stress. And when aged LI comes back in, it's just like, for me, it's an easy life. I've just got to top it up a bit, you know.
I know. It is an easy life. It is. Great. Well, I'm glad you found your way to LI. I'm glad you love it. I love talking with you today. You're a wealth of knowledge. What is your YouTube channel? We'll post it in the comments so everybody can find it, because you do educational videos on your YouTube channel. And you're and I think you're a great educator, and you don't educate for marketing purposes. You educate to educate. And I really like that. And that's really rare these days. And so I really like that, Katie. You tell it like it is. So where can people find your YouTube channel?
Katie Schofield PMUA is my YouTube channel. And I try and put something out every week. And it is just coming from the kind of education that I wish I had when I was that first year, that first year when everything's so scary. I wish I had that knowledge then.
Yeah, I know we all did, right? Me too. Me too. All right, girl. Well, thank you for spending Saturday with us, and I really appreciate that. And I hope I get to see you soon. Run into you soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I've got my eyes on Vegas. So.
Good. Good. All right. Okay, girl. You have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. Hey, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Where am I looking? Right here? Right there? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. That was Kitty Schofield out of the UK. And hey, I just want to give a shout out to all our listeners. Got a great DM this morning. She wakes up and we're her morning news with her coffee. I love hearing that. I love waking up with all you guys. I love that you're following us. This podcast is growing monthly and has been every single month since we've launched. And it's all because of you guys. And from all of us here at Girlz Inc., we really certainly do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Stay in the pursuit of happiness, and we will see you next time.